Hello and welcome to the agenda. I am Ajay Kaul. Today we will analyze Financial Action Task Force's impending review of Pakistan's case. Towards the end of this month, Financial Action Task Force or FATF, which is the global watchdog on terror financing and money laundering, will review Pakistan's case once again. It will decide whether Pakistan should remain in its intense watch list called grey list, or be blacklisted or even removed from the watch list. Ahead of the crucial meeting, we will try to analyze the matter in the agenda today. We have with us retired diplomat Ambassador J.K. Tripathi and retired Brigadier Vinod Datta. But before we start our conversation, have a look at this small report.
The sword of blacklisting by FATF is hanging on Pakistan as the global body prepares to hold its crucial meeting from 24th June. The 39-member FATF will decide whether Pakistan should remain in its enhanced watch list called grey list or be blacklisted. The FATF will take the decision after reviewing whether Pakistan has taken concrete and demonstrative steps to crack down on terror financing and money laundering. FATF had earlier mandated Pakistan to take 27 actions against the infrastructure of terrorism. At its last meeting in February, the global body noted that Pakistan had taken 23 of these steps and asked it to take the rest by June, failing which the country could be blacklisted. Blacklisting by FATF would mean that Pakistan would not be able to receive aid or loan from international organizations like World Bank, IMF and Asian Development Bank. Pakistan has been trying various means to hoodwink the FATF, including taking the farcical actions of bringing new laws against terrorism, but most of the FATF member countries remain unconvinced by those actions. The FATF wants Pakistan to take concrete and demonstrable actions. Significantly ahead of the upcoming plenary of FATF, the grouping's regional affiliate Asia Pacific Group has recommended that Pakistan should be retained in the grey list. It noted that Pakistan has shown insignificant progress in cracking down on terror, especially in freezing and confiscation of assets created by terror funds. The recommendations of the regional grouping are taken seriously by the FATF. Bureau Report.
So I'll first go to Ambassador Tripathi about FATF meeting, which is going to take place in some days now. So how do you see, it will review Pakistan's case, of course. So what is your assessment? What will happen with Pakistan?
Well, my assessment is that Pakistan is yet to be compliant of many of the issues, many of the points. Out of 40 points, Pakistan has complied or largely complied only on 31 points. 9 points still remain, out of which 2 points are very crucial on which Pakistan has not shown any progress. So that would be a difficult thing for Pakistan, a very precarious situation. Though one thing is sure, that Pakistan will not be brought down to the blacklist, because to get into blacklist you need get out of the blacklist, you need minimum 3 countries support, which Pakistan has in form of China, Malaysia and Turkey. All the 3 are members of FATF, while Pakistan is not. So by way of elimination, it is impossible right now to bring down Pakistan to the blacklist. But yes, grey list. Now what happens is, in order to get somebody into grey list, you need support of at least 15 members out of 39, or vice versa, 15 out of 39 should be in favor of a country being taken out of the grey list. But going by the membership, I don't find more than 3 or 4 more countries besides China, Turkey and Malaysia who could support Pakistan on this, because UK, US, France, Germany, Belgium, India, Brazil, Argentina, these countries are the ones who are against Pakistan. So in my assessment, I don't think Pakistan has shown enough willpower or enough sincerity to curb the money laundering, and therefore I don't feel that Pakistan will be taken out of the grey list. And in any case, the APG's meeting, which took place on 5th
Right.
June, decided to retain Pakistan in the grey list.
Right.
So that will be a very important factor for the plenary, which is going to take place from 21st to 24th June.
Yeah, as you mentioned that APG has apparently set the tone. So I go to Brigadier Datta about, as Ambassador mentioned, about Pakistan has not taken serious action or sincere action. But my question is, will Pakistan ever take a sincere action, serious action against terrorism? Because terrorism is part of the government now. I mean, that is the associate of the government. Will that happen ever?
Good evening, Ajay. I agree with you that Pakistan, you see, the main ingredient of their recipe is terrorism,
Right.
drug peddling, and which is backed by the ISI, and ISI is backed by the military junta which is there and which controls the Hukumat-e-Pakistan. So it is not likely to take any action or any substantial action. It is going to be a just broad brush or a smoke screen where they are going to tell. And if we go back in a couple of years, you will realize that just before there is a plenary meeting of FATF, some hurried actions are taken by Pakistan.
They have
Like
done it this time also. They have done something. Some tool laws have been brought or something.
Yeah, so they keep doing it. Like if you go back in history, you will find that first time Pakistan was placed in a grey list in 2008. Then in 2009 it was taken off. Again 2012 it was placed in grey list. 2015 it was taken off. And ever since it has been there. And what Ambassador Tripathi has rightly brought out, it is that as long as if you have support of three countries, and which more so the Islamic countries which are more echeloned towards terrorism are going to support Pakistan. Because if you see the financial condition of Pakistan is in such a tragic state that they have a debt of $4.7 trillion, which is phenomenal. And by no stretch of imagination, Pakistan is in a position to pay it back.
Yeah. So, Ambassador Tripathi, I come to you about, as you mentioned, sincerity. I mean, that is the question. That is a key question. I don't think Pakistan will ever be sincere. But you also mentioned about the support that Pakistan has. I think right now, that is my assessment, Pakistan has support only from China and Turkey, perhaps. Because Malaysia was supporting when Mahathir was there. Now, since change of government there, I don't think Malaysia is also too keen to support Pakistan. Your views?
Well, but last time when the meeting took place in February, Malaysia supported Pakistan.
Yeah.
So that time Mahathir was not there. Mahathir was already gone by that time.
Right.
So Malaysia is supporting Pakistan. We can take it for granted. Malaysia, Turkey and China. Yes, we can try to reason with Malaysia, or the international community can try to reason with Malaysia.
Yeah, that's right.
And that may pay off in the next plenary in October.
Right.
Not before that.
So, but do you think, as I asked Brigadier Datta also, do you think Pakistan will ever sincerely crack down or detach itself from terrorism? Because that is their, the associate, as they say.
No, I 100% agree with. I 100% agree with Brigadier Datta, because terrorism is an essential tool in the hand of Pakistani military.
Right.
And Pakistani military, as long as it is ruling, it is dictating the government either directly or indirectly, terrorism will remain there. You will recall that in recent years there had been cases in Pakistani courts have ruled in favor of the accused, Atia B and others. But what happened? The terrorist organizations put out a demonstration, violence occurred, and then military also put its weight against the terrorist organizations, and government had to take back the decision, reverse the decision taken by the Supreme Court. Moreover,
Right.
Pakistan has many terrorist organizations, not only Lashkar-e-Toiba, but Haqqani Group, Taliban, Tehreek-e-Taliban in Pakistan, which will not allow Pakistani civilian weak government to do anything substantial to curb them. So until there is a very powerful decision-making civilian government which can rein in the military, there won't be any respite for Pakistan from the terrorist organizations.
But Ambassador, we have seen earlier some governments, some prime ministers, I'll say, particularly Nawaz Sharif, tried to, go against the army, and you see what happened to him, and now he is in exile.
Exactly.
So no prime minister will dare to take on the army or the clerics or these fundamentalists.
Until and unless there is a prime minister with a thumping majority and thumping support from the government, from the public, and then he or she puts his foot down that look, no more, henceforth no more, and then only it will be there, because this military supremacy has been ingrained into Pakistani blood. Out of 73 years, 38 years military had ruled directly, and the rest of the time by proxy.
Right. Even now it's proxy.
Even now, many of the organizations, dams, powerhouses are being run by military officers serving or retired. Even I was shocked that Pakistani Space Organization, which was of course formed in 1970s, but if you see its history, from 2000 to now, there have been 4 director generals, 4 top brasses there of that organization, and qualification wise, one of them was MSc in geology and 3 of them were BSc.
Right.
And they were heading the space organization of Pakistan.
Right.
So you can see the magnitude
the tragedy
has been deteriorated. Yes.
You are an army man, former army man, and you heard Ambassador Tripathi what he said about Pakistan Army. It's all over. They are in the space organization, everything. And today, in fact, I was reading that Army Chief has held a meeting with chambers, industry leaders, to discuss what should be there in the budget. They had their suggestions presented to the Army Chief, not the Finance Minister of Pakistan. So, as a soldier, are you jealous that you are in India and not in Pakistan?
No. I'm proud of being an Indian soldier, and I will always.
This was meant to be sarcastic. I know.
I know. No,
Yeah.
Kaulsab, I
So, but the state of affairs in Pakistan. That's what I.
Yeah. I just want to tell you, Kaulsab, that I come from a family which is in the Limca Book of Records for having maximum army officers from one family, where all boys are army officers and girls are married to army officers. तो हमारा तो खून भी आप निकाल के देखेंगे तो हरा ही निकलेगा और लाल नहीं निकलेगा. So I am very proud of India and Indian Army, and let me also take you back in history. The foundation of the Pakistan Army has been laid so treacherously by the British. They still have that British colonial hangover. Because if you see that for first 2 years after independence, from 1947 to say about till 51, both the countries had British people at the helm of affairs as far as the army was concerned. The Pakistan chief of the army staff was from intelligence agencies. and they have been placed in such a manner that the importance, the relevance, and the hindrance in the government always remains of the Pakistan army. And I always say, Pakistan army is part of Troika. Even today, you had Khalsa brought out a very relevant point that these days our friend Imran Khan Niazi has been so sidelined that the chief of the army staff, General Bajwa, he has been meeting people in China. He has been meeting, or people have been meeting the ISI chief. So Imran Khan has been so sidelined, and there are instances where the morale of the Pakistan army is so low that they have been getting drubbing. You see, there are no money left even to pay the pay and allowances of the Pakistan army. Now they are, indulging in looting and such like of arson activities in the civilian population.
So, Brigadier Datta, that is why Pakistan army doesn't need regular salaries. They are doing other things. They are controlling businesses. I mean, if you are colonel and above, you are doing everything. I mean, you are in the economy. You are doing business. You are doing estate, real estate. You are into everything.
Yeah,
so you don't need regular salary increment.
That's again a very valid point which you have raised, because they don't need, because for them salary is a cornerstone.
Right.
I'm talking of people who are personnel below officer rank, because they are almost starving, and they are being driven to such an extent. Like there is an uprising in Pakistan which is saying, which is telling America or communicating to America that we don't want any kind of help, or jo imdad aati thi hame nahi chahiye. Because between 2002 to 2011, $18 billion had come. 70% of the money was misspent because it does not reach the masses. It is being shared by the military junta which is there.
Right.
So people are now, they are rising and they are voicing against Pakistan army.
No, they are rising, but they are crushed also. So Ambassador Tripathi, as you mentioned, that people should rise, and also Brigadier Saab says that there is uprising. But if you take the case of even journalists are being harassed and kidnapped by agencies in the broad daylight, tortured, attacked. So how will people rise? I mean, they are being harassed hounded in fact.
You see, as some political analyst has said, that when there is a repression, initially there is not much reaction. But then what happens, for some time there is lull because people give up. But then after that comes a time when it reaches the crescendo and then public revolts. So I'm afraid that some time will come when public will revolt against army. And that would be very, very tragic for Pakistani people and army, because right now, I mean, this is blatant, you can say rowdy, blatant, this ruffian, that if you criticize army, there is a rule that you can be punished for criticizing the establishment. Mind you, in Pakistan, army is called as establishment.
Right.
The government, civilian government, is not the establishment.
Yeah.
So you cannot criticize the establishment. And if you criticize, you will go like Hamid Mir, who was taken off. Then there was one journalist who criticized. He was imprisoned. So this is going to be the order of the day in Pakistan.
No, one senior journalist was kidnapped from Islamabad in daylight outside the school of his nephew or niece.
And Hamid Mir was taken off the air.
Yeah, but his
program.
The punishment was not too much for Hamid Mir, but that person journalist was tortured for the whole day.
So there is going.
Another journalist was attacked by intelligence agencies recently at home. So, I mean, even journalists, intellectuals are being targeted, hounded. So, how will people rise? As you mentioned, there have been uprisings. So, Brigadier Datta, there have been like Khyber Pakhtunkhwa. We have seen so many, long marches by Pashtuns who are openly saying जो दहशतगर्दी है वो उसके पीछे वर्दी है. This is openly against the army. But then they are crushed, and there is also not media coverage. I mean, that is the control the army has. So how should the people of Pakistan break that?
Kaul Sahab, if you go back in history again, you will find that you see when General Tikka Khan was there, and he used to always say that give me 48 hours and I'm going to annex Afghanistan to Pakistan. He also was the mastermind behind the butchering of people in East Pakistan. So there has been history. Like if you see in Quetta, what you are saying, anybody who goes and stays there, and if his credentials are doubtful, he's just pulled out from the hotel and he's sent to some destination where nobody can locate him. The Taliban Shura, which is there in Quetta, if you see Markaz Subhanallah, Jaish's headquarters, which can train 600 people or cadre. So if you have such kind of organized terrorism, I'm sure the government has no. You must have seen recently they were uprising in Pakistan when this Lambaik organization was there, and it was for the first time that the uniform was beaten by public. So that is the kind of hold these terrorists have in that nation. So the army is now trying to flex its muscles.
No, there was a clash between the police in Sindh and army recently. Yeah. I mean, when the IG was arrested by the army or frontier court.
Yes.
Yeah.
So, yes, when Nawaz Sharif's son-in-law was arrested.
Yeah, when his son-in-law was forced. I mean, the IG was forced to sign the arrest warrant. Yeah. That is the seriousness.
If you see Ahmadiyas, you see the balkanization of Pakistan has already started. If you see Ahmadiyas, the kind of atrocities which is being done on them, they are not allowed to offer prayers in the mosque. Their religious places are not allowed to be called as mosques. They have no representation in any of the police and army organizations, or they are at a very, very lower place. People are being frisked away.
Right.
There is total ban on your press.
Right. So last question where we have to conclude. So Ambassador Tripathi, so I mean FATF, that the dagger which is hanging fire on the Pakistan, it has actually, I was reading that it has cost economically Pakistan a lot. I mean, there has been some report that Pakistan lost $38 billion because of this grey listing by FATF over last 12 years. So how
certainly,
do you see?
Though it is not, it's just tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
Because this is, since Pakistan has been staying in the grey list for so many years, now there is rumors also run on their full scale. So because of the rumor that Pakistan might be blacklisted and all that, so many things have happened. But imagine if Pakistan today or in the next FATF plenary is placed in blacklist, then what happens? That Pakistan is not allowed to have any transactions through America, that is in US dollars. Pakistani generals and Pakistani leaders will be put under sanction. They will be not given visas. Then FATF will advise business houses, international business houses, global multinationals not to do business with Pakistan,
right,
and that will be suicidal for Pakistan.
Yeah, that will
but
be suicidal.
Their leaders do not understand.
That will be suicidal. So we have 1 minute maybe. So Brigadier Datta, so that will be suicidal. World will isolate Pakistan, but China, I think, will come to its rescue. What do you say? Because China has now almost adopted Pakistan in all senses.
Yeah. You see, China and Pakistan are being now called as iron brothers because China is supporting Pakistan.
They are hardly brothers. It's an adoption by China. Now it's, China is sustaining Pakistan rather now.
Yeah, they are cosmetic iron brothers, if I can use the word. And because Pakistan is keeping quiet on the Uyghur Muslims. If you see the statement of FATF President Marcus Plenary, Yeah, so he was telling that the discrepancies in the action list by Pakistan are so serious that it is high time that the world should put sanctions on them.
Right.
And Pakistan is aware of it. And what Khalsa had already said, that it will be difficult for Pakistan to garner support, but yes, it may, dash down, crawl, and reach the finish line.
Yeah, so world should take note. I guess world is mostly is taking note of what Pakistan is doing and not get swayed. But the time of this program today is over. Thank you both of you for participating. This is all in the agenda today. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with another important and interesting topic the same time tomorrow. Till then, take care and stay safe.